Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jami'an. Inshallah, I will talk about today as a part two of this series, the reality of Salafi pubs, followers, slash cult. In my other video, I mentioned some of the characteristics of Salafi pubs, followers, as following cults and cult behavior, as many other people who have spoke on the topic in a detailed way have addressed. I also want to bring about from majority of their blind followers of Salafi publications or Salafi pubs is that there's a gross understanding from its followers that ignorance is no assumption, meaning that within them, ignorance is a bliss. And from their group, they have spent a lot of time indulging and building their foundation of their core beliefs based on their cults is from statements and slogans. Statements and slogans and practices that are unethical, that are not established from Kitab wa Sunnah. And from the massive followers of Salafi publication, whether in UK or US or Canada or wherever you will find them, even today in Africa, you will find from their followers that they do not have anything pertaining to the principles of Islam with them. The majority of their followers have nothing from the sciences of Islam with them. For example, they don't understand Mustalah Hadith, neither do they understand fiqh, neither do they understand Usul fiqh, neither do they understand the Sharia or the laws or principles pertaining to the Sharia law. Neither does their followers have any understandings about the importance of these particular sciences. This is from the mass followers. Also, what is very clear from them, from their followers, that majority of their followers do not understand the Arabic language. Majority of their followers do not understand the Arabic language. They have no attachment to the language. Meaning, if you have a discussion with them and you talk about Arabic language and you mention with them that the Salaf the Salih, that the pious predecessor, that they spoke and understood the Arabic language, and that the ulama of the Salaf, all of them understood and used the Arabic language. And if we are to be like the Salaf, walk on the madhahib of the Salaf the Salih, if we were to learn their madhab and tread on their methodology, then you can't tread on their methodology if you don't understand the Arabic language. And the Arabic language is rooted and connected to the religion of Islam. You can't say about being Salafi and then you don't want to have any connection with the Arabic language. And if you don't have a connection with the Arabic language, then you won't have a connection to the Quran, neither will you have a connection to the Sunnah. So for the mass followers of Salafi publication, They are engrossed with not learning Arabic language, and so they would debate about how it is not fard. It is not fard. But they will argue and debate about religious principles that they do not understand. They will argue and debate about peoples who they claim to be not Salafi, or peoples who they saying they're Salafi. When it comes to the Arabic language, it is null of them. It is null. When it comes to the principles of understanding Islam, like the sciences of the religion, the ulum fi din al-Islam, the sciences in Islamic religion, for you will find with them that they have no attachments to Islamic knowledge. They have no attachment to Islamic knowledge. What they do have attachment to is blind following statements of Salafi publication, authors, or gurus. They know their slogans, they know their statements. And if they speak of anything from Kitab and Sunnah, they're speaking from the comprehension of Abu Khadija and his associates. So one of the mass flaws of Salafi publication followers is that one, they have no connection to the Arabic language, which you cannot connect to the Quran and Sunnah in the Arabic without Arabic. So they have no connection to the Arabic language, which you'll find majority of them have no connection to the Quran, and they do not have no connection to Islamic sciences, which are preserved and written in the Arabic language. They have no connections with none of these things. So you'll find from their followers that they don't have a connection to the Arabic language, they don't have connection to no Islamic sciences, and they themselves do not have any connections to its peoples. They have no connections to its peoples, the ulama of these sciences. And if you don't have a connection to these sciences, then you have no connection to the methodology of the Salaf. If you don't have no connection to the Arabic language, which will mean you have no connection to the Quran, which means that you have no fahim of the Quran, and then you have no connection to the Arabic language, meaning you have no connection to the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa af'alihi wa af'aluhu wa alamatuhu kullu dhalik fi lughata Arabiya. All the things the Prophet did or said, all of these things are in the Arabic language, preserved in the Arabic language. So you'll find for the massive followers of Salafi publication, that's in those in UK, those in US, like in Philadelphia in Germantown Masjid, you'll find that the mass majority of their followers who claim they are following Salafiyah, you'll find with them the majority of all of them, they have no connection to Islam through its sciences. They have no connection to the Arabic language. And if you don't have connection to the Arabic, then you don't have connection to the Quran. And you can't understand the Quran illa fi lugha Arabiya. You cannot understand the Quran unless it's in the Arabic language. And they have no connection to any other sciences of Islam. If you don't have connections to the Arabic language, then you can't understand Mustalah Hadith. And if you don't understand Mustalah Hadith, the sciences of Hadith, then you have no connection to the Sunnah, because the Sunnah is recorded in the Hadith. So if you don't have connections to the Arabic, and you don't have connection to sciences of Hadith or the Islamic sciences, then you have no connection to Salafiyah within itself. Because the Mathahib of the Salaf, it's recorded in the Arabic language. And it's understood in the Arabic language. And its foundations are based on Quran and Sunnah, which is in the Arabic language. So you'll find for the massive followers of Salafi publication is that they build their rep, they build their beliefs based upon hearsay, They based their understanding, their beliefs, is all based on hearsay of certain individuals. For example, if we look at the Nasara, because with Salafi pub followers, they have the same madhab of the Nasara. They don't have the madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam أو مذاهب السلف الصالح كيف أي شخص يريد أن يقول any way anybody wants to say it. They don't have the methodology of the Messenger of Allah or the Salaf, the Salih. Rather yet, they have the methodology of the Nasara. Allah saying in Quran, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So, the believers on the straight path. Salafiyya is the straight path. As-siratu mustaqim. The Dolin, the ones who are astray, is described as the Nasara, the people who don't look at evidence and proofs. The people who don't know the evidence and proofs. They don't understand how it's established. These are the people Dolin. And we can say the Sifatul Nasara, or the Mathabit al-Nasara, or Millat al-Nasara. You find with Salafi pubs, they have the same methodology of the Nasara, the same methodology of the Dolin. It's not based on proofs and evidence. It's based on hearsay, what people say from the gurus or the leaders of the group. Because if you don't establish your religion upon understanding Arabic language, which connects you to the Quran, and it connects you to the Sunnah and the Islamic sciences, that connects you to Fahm al-Quran, and it connects you to Fahm al-Hadith, because if you don't know Mustalah Hadith, and you don't know Arabic language, and you need both to understand Mustalah Hadith, then you cannot distract or extract what are the authentic hadiths and sayings and statements of the Prophet. So the Nasara, they don't have any sciences. They don't look for these things. They don't bath for the truth. They don't search for the truth. And their religion is built upon al-qala wa-qila. Their religion is built on hearsay. So you find with the Salafi pals, because they're not busy with the sciences of the religion and learning Arabic language and understanding Quran in its language, and the Sunnah in its language and its sciences, and all the other sciences related to them, because all Islamic sciences from some form or fashion coincides with each other. And the majority of its followers do not know them, but they are filled with hearsay. They can tell you why Muhammad Munir is off the minhaj from hearsay. This so-called scholar refute him. Okay, if this scholar refute him, is the scholar's statement wajib? Since when a person's statement becomes wajib? What's wajib or what's fard or what's obligatory upon an individual is what's established in Kitab and Sunnah, what's established in the Sharia laws, in the laws of Quran. If you don't understand the Arabic language, then how are you going to connect to the Quran? If you don't know all the Islamic sciences, which is also its foundation, all Islamic sciences and religion, all of its foundations are in the Arabic language. So if you don't have none of these as a foundation, as majority of the followers of Salafi pubs do not know Arabic language, what you find them doing instead, because they're not learning these sciences, they don't have it themselves, then they tie the truth to personalities. And they don't tie the truth to Kitab or Sunnah. So this is why someone could say, well, Sheikh Bukhari in Saudi refutes Muhammad Munir. Why they will tie themselves to that? Because they tie the truth to personalities. They don't have knowledge of Quran and Sunnah. Because a scholar's statement about another person doesn't mean anything. Sheikh Bukhari, may Allah preserve him, his statement, that is his opinion. He could be wrong. And if somebody says something about another person in Islam, whether it's a scholar, the first thing that we do is we go back to Kitab and Sunnah. First, we verify if the statement of the Sheikh correct or not. And to establish if a statement is correct or not, or the statement coincides with Quran and Sunnah, or the Sharia law, I have to have knowledge of the Sharia law, not knowledge of hearsay. Sheikh said this. Our religion is not built on hearsay. Who religion is built on hearsay? Al-Nasara. The Nasara, their religion is built on hearsay. They said Allah and who ibn. Allah has a son. وَلَيْسَ عَنْدَمْ أَيْ بُرْهَانٍ. There's no proof for them to say. There's little evidence. Where did they get this from? They get it from hearsay. They get it from where? Hearsay. The millah is built on hearsay. So you find with the followers of Salafi publication, majority, all its followers, from the US, Canada, or we say North America, UK, Africa, wherever you find their followers, you'll find that majority, the mass amount of their followers, they are ignorant of Islamic sciences. They have no attachment to knowledge itself. So they tie the truth to what? Personalities. Same thing the Nasara does. Nasara, who minhaj is built on hearsay, what they're going to say when you tell them this is batil, they're going to say, my books say this, my priests say this, my monk said this, my preacher said this, my church said this. This is what they're going to use for their evidence, what somebody in a family or pastor say, or what they believe. So you'll find that the followers of the Salafi publication, they have the same methodology and mindset of the Nasara. Then you look at some of the principles that Salafi pubs is following. Tabloids. All right. If I got beef with somebody, I call a sheikh and say, Sheikh, this person said this. And the sheikh replies, oh, that's wrong. That person's deviant. That person's off. All right. All right. Then I take that information and go to my mass followers and said, Sheikh Fulan said this about this person. Who else does this? Who else does this? There's somebody outside from the Nasara does this. Monks does this. Priest does this. The Pope does this. Jehovah's Witness does this. Jehovah's Witness do this to people. Huh? When they want to boycott their oppositions or people they dislike in their facilities. And Christians practice this. When they want to ostracize people from going to other places or other churches or other preachers, right? Or a person they dislike, they said so-and-so preacher said this. So not just only you will find with the followers of Salafi publication, the majority of followers, they have the same methodology of the Nasara. And why is that? Well, you got to look at where do you find majority of the followers of Salafi publication? For example, do you find in Saudi, from the people of Saudi, I'm not talking about outsiders, I'm talking about from Saudi citizens, right? Do you find any Saudi citizens or followers of Abu Khadija? Do you find the massive followers of Salafi publication in Saudi Arabia? You notice you don't. You might find somebody followers from the UK and in the West, go to Saudi, study there or visit there, but you don't find that the core understanding or the core followers of Salafi publication, you notice they're not in the Arab land. You notice that. That understanding is not in the Arab land, because in the Muslim land they know the difference between an alim and a jahil. in the Muslim land, somebody knows the difference between an alim and the alim and a sheikh, a mufti and an alim. Somebody knows the difference between the imam in the masjid and the mufti of a section. The qadi, the judge, Muslim judge, the difference between the Muslim judge and the da'i, the call of Islam. They know the difference between them, and they know they're not on the same level, right? So they have knowledge with them, and people have knowledge. But in the West, U.S., UK, Canada, North America in general, in the West, you'll find that the followers of Salafi publication, that they are engrossed with personality chasing, but they're not, they have no Islamic knowledge. When it comes to the standards in Islam, when it comes to principles of the religion, when it comes to preserving the religion, they don't have nothing with them. You know, that's the truth, brother Colin. They don't even do that. They don't go to Saudi to study. They go there just to sell Umrah packages. So you got that 100% right. You know, but part of that is because of the Westerners' mind settings. A lot of us from the West, we are Westerners, right? And this is what I want. This is the real point I was trying to get to, right? The real point I was trying to get to is that because we're Westerner, we come from the country that are Nasara, and many of us came to Islam from being Nasara. We came from Islam because we used to be Nasara. So many of us, we have the methodology of the Nasara, or the methodology of the capitalist or democratic system, right? Which has many other isms in it: socialism, liberalism. We have all this type of stuff mixed in us that we don't know, and because Salafi pub followers didn't start out the right way, they never rid in themselves these type of isms that have nothing to do with Islam. They never read it from themselves. And Salafi pubs is not this particular statement about them, a description. It's not restricted to them only. Other groups in America, in the West, in America, UK, I see they have these traits from Western Muslims, right? You know, we still have these traits. You have extremes. You have somebody's one extreme to the next extreme. Salafi pubs is just on one extreme. You have other extremes. Sufis, like the Westerners are Sufis. Like, you know, okay, I could be liberal, I could be Muslim, I could be Muslim and gay, I could be Muslim and use drugs, right? So you got those two extremes, right? Because we live in this Western society. But for the followers of Salafi pubs who hold this high slogan, which has a high and deep meaning, a Salafiyya, this is not no simple word. This particular wording, as Salafiyya, as Salaf to Salih, this particular wording has a very deep, deep meaning where it's very much intertwined with being students of knowledge and being scholarly and students of knowledge, not just one person or two peoples. Salafiyya is very deep, very rooted and locked with knowledge. All right? Salafi is deeply rooted into knowledge. It's hard for a person to say he is Salafi, but he doesn't want to seek knowledge. It's going to be very hard. This is why in Philadelphia, because I haven't learned Islam from its usul, that's why I could go to Philadelphia, to Germantown Masjid, or some of the Salafi Masjid that follow Salafi pubs methodology, and you could find people in that community where they have lihya, long beard, lihya, tawila, long beard, isbal, يعني البنطلون فوق القوبين, right? Where they have the pants above the ankle. ويلبس السنة الإزار, they wear the إزار, هذا شيء من السنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, but they're selling drugs. And they say they're Salafi, but they're selling drugs. They're the known drug dealers or the known gang members, and they say they're Salafi, right? That's because they have not learned the religion from its usul. They just learn to attach to themselves titles. They didn't learn the usul of the religion. Even the basic usul of the religion, they haven't learned. All right? So you'll find, for example, if you look at some of the particular gurus, du'at from Salafi pubs, if you look at them on social media, right? And always take a good look at their social media platforms, right? Like on Twitter, right? Like Musa Richards, Omar Quinn, whoever they follow today. I take a good look at the social media, and because they're very organized. Their leaders are very organized, right? And I look at what they're actually feeding the peoples. If you take a good look, and I would challenge anybody on this. If you take a good look at their social media, from Instagram, from Twitter, Facebook, wherever they at, what they do is they bombard you with a lot of pretty templated posts which have statements of peoples. I'll say it again. They bombard you. They bombard their followers like templates, posts. It has nice templates. Exterior looks very nice, pretty, you know, 3D effect, whatever you want to say. Very digitally designed, very well, with statements of peoples from the past. All right. Maybe a ayat from Quran, maybe a particular hadith, but they have a lot of particular statements from particular scholars of the past. All right. And these things could be said that they are reminders. But if you look deep at it, and their followers share these things, right? They get retweeted. If you look at it, what are really feeding their followers? They're just feeding them statements of peoples. They're not feeding them real solid information. You have different type of information. And I'm not talking about information that is not beneficial, right? There's different type of knowledge. And there's some type of knowledge where it's like it's not going to make any changes inside, right? So you notice with them, they don't teach the religion as it's supposed to be taught. They teach them statements of certain people's statements, scholar statements in the past, people's statements, because they hide behind these individuals who they posting, right? These scholars who they posting from the past. But it's like chicken with no meat, you know? It's like a piece of lamb. It's like they're giving them a lamb stick, but there's no meat on it, Just to give them a little taste. They're not giving them no real meat. And the real meat here means knowledge, teaching the principles of the religion. They're not doing that. So you can find from the followers of them, Salafi publication, is that all they are doing all day on social media, or you meet them anywhere, they're just repeating statements of what their leaders say. That's all they do. They're not teaching you usuluddin. They're not teaching you usul tafsir. They can't teach you none of these things because they don't know it and they're not being taught this. They're not teaching you mustalah hadith, right? They're not teaching you mustalah hadith, if you notice that. But they want to quote hadith every day, but they can't teach you the sciences of hadith. They can't even teach you the basics about the mustalah hadith. They could quote all day Jar wa Tahdil. They themselves don't know even none of the names of the books of Jar wa Tahdil. Majority of their followers. So they are null. Their information is null. All right. The information is null. And I don't want to be on a rant or repeating the same thing. But you'll find from the characteristics of their followers is that they have a lot of the blind faith. They have a lot of blind faith, or their faith is built on falsehood. They have their own beliefs. Their faith is based on their own beliefs. And I don't mean when I say beliefs as iman billahi. I'm not talking about this type of beliefs. Belief also mean in the English language what you consider to be true. Your own personal beliefs. Salafi pubs have their own personal beliefs that has nothing to do with Islam. right? They have their own personal beliefs that has nothing to do with Islam, and to them, they hold it as their truth. They hold it as what? Their truth. For example, I gave you one of their personal beliefs. They believe, a few of them I give you right now, they believe now Abu Khadija is a sheikh. I just had a discussion with one brother right now about him and his wife. Wife is from UK. I don't want to say his name. And his wife is one of the extreme followers. And I told him they arguing about something. I gave him some proof to show the wife. And he's like, yo, the wife now, the people they saying now in UK that Abu Khadija is the sheikh. I said, for real? He said, come on, you know it. You say you don't see them posts? They saying Abu Khadija and these peoples are now the sheikh. It goes back to what I'm saying now. Now they have their own beliefs, Salafi pubs, which they believe is true. This is their truth. Blind followers, blind faith. And they put blind faith into these things. And if you tell them Abu Khadija how he's a sheikh, right? He didn't study nowhere. He didn't graduate it. No scholar said he's a sheikh. They said, oh, Sheikh Rabi'a praise him. That praise does not make him a scholar, but they say, but he's our sheikh. All right? Who else is like this? An-Nasara. An-Nasara. Huh? An-Nasara has blind faith. Believe in something even though the proofs and the evidence or the facts show otherwise. Meaning the proofs, the facts, the actual facts will show that what you believe is not true. Nasara have this, right? Wallahi, Salafi pubs followers have the same aqidah, have the same beliefs. Huh? Walk by faith, not by sight. So when you bring them evidence and proofs, they ignore it. They are just like the dhalin, la yabhas and haq. They don't search for the truth. And when the truth comes to them, yarfaduhu, la yaqiduhu. They reject it and they don't take the truth when it comes from kitab and sunnah. They can't accept it because it's not coincide or co-line. It doesn't line up with what Salafi publication is telling them. So they're no different from the Nasara. ضالين غير مغضوب عليهم ولا ضالين, astray. I can't even say they're maghdub. I can't even say they're in Allah's anger because they don't even know the truth. The mass majority of Salafi followers, they don't understand Arabic language, which means they don't understand the Quran and they have no attachment to the Quran, neither understand it and neither can fulfill it, and neither understand any sciences relating to the Quran. They don't understand Arabic language, so they can't understand the Sunnah. And they can't understand the Sunnah if they don't understand Mustalah Hadith. And if they can't understand Mustalah Hadith and don't understand Arabic, you will never understand Mustalah Hadith without Arabic language. And you will never understand Hadith without Arabic language. So that if they don't know these sciences, how can they attach themselves to Hadiths? When they don't even understand the grading or the rating of a particular hadith, they go by blind faith. Oh, Sheikh Albani said this hadith is good. Back again at taqleed. At taqleed. Going back again, taqleed. How you know if Sheikh Albani made a mistake in his grading of the hadith? They're like, oh man, you're questioning that. Sheikh Albani is not infallible. And I'm saying that he make mistakes, but there's some scholars don't agree with everything pertaining to the ratings of hadith. Some scholars disagree with him. Some scholars in the hadith disagree with him certain things, right? So, how are they going to say, and this is the problem with taqleed, right? Being a mukhalid, the blind following, right? If you're going to say, because Sheikh Al-Albani say it's authentic, because Sheikh Al-Albani says it's authentic, what I said, Nasara does, they connect to personalities. They don't have the Burhan. They don't have the Burhan. Right? And even if I was going to tell one of them, okay, we could go and look up what Sheikh Al-Albani said about the hadith, why he graded this way, they don't even have the tools to do that. The mass majority of their followers. Why? Because they don't have Arabic language. They can't even open up no books of Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah. They can't even open no books of Sheikh Al-Albani. As I keep on saying, I have some fatwa of Sheikh Rabi'a, I think it's right here.
some fatwa here. They don't even know none of the. They can't even open the books of fatwa of Sheikh Rabi', but they're gonna say he's the Imam with Jarwa Ta'dil, but they don't understand none of his works in Arabic. The mass majority of their followers. See, if I say the mass majority of Muslims understand Quran, هذا كلام يعني متوتر. هذا كلام متوتر. If I say the followers of the Muslims understand Quran, this is obvious. Mutawatir means something that is obvious, everybody knows, is well known. All right, this word is in science of hadith, but I'm using for lugawi. This knowledge is mutawatir. The Muslims memorize and know the Quran everywhere. All right, they have attachment to the Quran. All right, but if I talk to Salafi Pub's followers, mass majority of them, they have no attachment to Quran and its sciences or the Arabic language. Now, what they have attachments to is statements of Abu Khadija and their leaders, their gurus, that have no attachment. They cannot take the statements. For example, if Abu Khadija translated something by Sheikh bin Baz, I looked at one of them recently, like today. All right, a statement by Sheikh bin Baz. They showed me something that Abu Khadija translated from Sheikh bin Baz. All right. And I told the brother, I agree with that statement of Sheikh bin Baz. But I was saying to the brother, that's why you guys are attaching yourselves to Abu Khadija, because he translate these things. I said, knowledge does not start with Abu Khadija, neither does it end with Abu Khadija. And knowledge also does not start with Sheikh bin Baz or finishes with Sheikh bin Baz. Right? But I know the difference. Sheikh bin Baz is an alim, and Abu Khadija is not an alim. I wanted to tell that brother, how you know if that translation is accurate? And then how do you know even if the statement of Sheikh bin Baz is accurate? You have to be able to measure it between something else. How are you going to make the measurements to see if that's true or not? You have to be able to go back to Kitab or Sunnah, back to the Quran. And if you don't know Arabic, you cannot go back to the Quran. Because you're going to go back to somebody else's translation if you don't understand Arabic language. And this is where Salafi Pub's followers is going to get deeper and deeper and deeper into blind following and deeper into being a cult. Because mass majority of them do not have no love or desire to seek knowledge the right way, the correct way. And anything they learn must be associated with Abu Khadija and their cult leaders. That's why on Facebook, many of them don't like me. Because when they open their mouth, and I know they're ignorant, they don't study religion, they don't study Arabic language, they don't study Quran, they don't study nothing with the usul of religion, they don't have no desire. All they do is all day on Facebook is share. لا فاهم share لا فاهم لا يعرف هذا كلام صحيح أو باطل لا يعرف إذا هذا ترجمة صحيح أو قطع share يشرك كل يوم التشريق بين الناس في social media. That's all they do. Share. That's all they do all day. And their gurus, all they do is with them. I seen one of them brother, he posted, not this book, but, Omar Quinn, long time ago, posted a page of a book. And he just posted the title of the book. Look, I'm going to show you how gullible that Salafi pubs follow, how gullible and ignorant they are. He was mentioning some proofs for something. I'm not talking about this book. But he took a picture of the book's cover and he said, this is the proof. He said the book cover and he said, that's the proof. I started laughing. I was like, yo, these people are idiots. He said, he took a picture of a book and he said, this is the proof of what he was talking about. This is the dalil. Wallahi, he did this. I said, man, their followers are imbeciles. They believe anything. I said, a book cover is not proofs. Showing a book cover is not proofs. Not how you establish burhan. And the followers of you guys don't even understand Arabic. They don't know what the book cover is saying. So this is an understanding of theirs. Unfortunately, that many of the followers, that this is who they become. You know, unfortunately, what comes in my mind when I look at Salafi Pub's followers, unfortunately, when I see them now, may Allah guide them to the Sunnah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, really guide them. But when I see them now, it's like you ever meet like people from Jamaat Tabligh, and I'm saying that they are Jamaat Tabligh, not saying they have the creed of Jamaat Tabligh, but if you look at their behaviors, the level of their blind following is no different from the level of blind following of people who follow like Jamaat Tabligh. Jamaat Tabligh wear their pants above the ankle. Jamaat Tabligh from the Arabs, they have no problem with Usul Thalatha. Jamaat Tabligh from the Arabs, they have no problem with Usul Thalatha. And reading from Riyadh al-Salihin, they have no problems. But when you come to some minhaj issues and stuff, even from the Arabs, from the Jamaat Tabligh, they got some little issues, right? And then when they followers, even Jamaat Tabligh, they followers like in the Arabs, they still ignorant. They don't understand the religion. They be going giving dawah, even from the Arabs I met. They go give dawah and they jihad. They have no knowledge, right? And I'm saying the same thing, same type of attitude. I'm not saying they have the same creed, but the same type of attitude and behavior and thinking is also with the followers of Salafi pubs, the mass majority of them. The mass majority of them. Salafiyya is a very strong word. This is not like no word you just say and then it's like, I'm Salafi, but I don't have to seek knowledge. I'm Salafi and I'm going to be content with being a blind follower. I'm Salafi and our community been Salafi for over 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and nobody in our community memorized the Quran. Only 2 or 3 people in our community memorized Quran. Nobody in the community has became students of knowledge. Only 2 or 3 people out of a community of thousands of people, 1,000 peoples, or 500 peoples. Only 1 or 2 peoples are students of knowledge. That's not right. Out of 100 or 500 people in the community, only 3 or 4 people understand Arabic. Out of 500 people in the community, Philly is big. Philadelphia is big. UK is big. Out of 5,000 or 1,000 or more followers, you're not producing no students of knowledge. That's something is wrong. I don't see no. Jamaat Tabligh is just like that. Where would Jamaat Tabligh go? People have been with Jamaat Tabligh for years and they haven't learned nothing. No scholars, no Arabic, nothing about usul of religion, nothing. They just feel a lot of hearsay, stories. Stories are hearsay. So if you pubs or this followers feel the same thing, hearsay. Hearsay from Bilal Davis, Abu Khadija, Omar Quinn, Musa Richardson. There's just a lot of hearsay, hearsay, and hearsay, and hearsay, and hearsay. Bring me, I always tell them, especially the ones in the US, especially in Philly, East Coast, I tell them all the time, I meet them online. And when you meet them, it's like there's 2 things with them. First, they rally up with other people who are ignorant like them. Their ignorance is on the same level. So first thing they do is they link up with other ignoramus like them who don't understand their religion, who just love the term Salafi. And what they do is they stick together in their ignorance. And they post all day long what their gurus feed them. Whatever their gurus say, they post the stuff all day long. But when it comes to actually learning the principles of religion, they do not know. And many of them been with Salafi pubs, Germantown Masjid, Hassan Samali, Abu Khadija, Anwar Wright, whoever, Musa Richardson. A lot of their followers been with them for 2 years, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. Only thing they accomplish is reading Usulu Thalatha. Don't understand Usulu Hadith, Mustalah Hadith, Usulu Fiqh, Tafsir, Usulu Tafsir. All they just established for these 2 or 3 years being with these guys is just hearsay. So and so said this, so and so said that, so and so said he's Salafi, so and so praised this one, so and so is not Salafi no more, so and so is a Mubtadi. That's all you have to show for 2 or 3 years or 4 years being on Salaf, Dawah to Salafiyah. And it's get worse. Imagine them brothers been with them for 20 years. I know brothers been with them for 20 years, 30 years, got kids, got grandkids. And still with them, and all of them is talking the same ignorance. And none of them know Arabic language, 20, 30 years following Salafiyah in America. No Arabic language, no Quran, barely a juice of Quran. No Arabic language, nothing. 20 years, 30 years, nothing. You're no different from Jamaat al-Tabligh. The followers of Jamaat al-Tabligh go with them for 20, 30 years and come back with nothing. No knowledge, no usul fiqh, no sharia, nothing, no ahkam. And it's nothing but ahkam. But it can read well from the books, just like Salafi pub followers could read well from translated things that these guys give them, whether it's a book or reminders or statements of peoples. What do we say about these things? The reality is, for the followers of Salafi publication, if you attach them, this is your reality. You're just following a sect. You're not following the Salaf. Because the minhaj of Salafiyya, it is attached to knowledge. It's attached to Quran and Sunnah. So you've been Salafi for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, and you don't know Arabic language. You don't understand the Quran in the Arabic language. Can you truly say to yourself, Al-wazin binafsik, Al-wazin binafsik, hal ana Salafi hakikan, or Salafiyya fi shakl, hal ana Salafiyya fi batin, or ana Salafiyya fi dhahira. And I'm Salafi inwardly, or I'm Salafi only outwardly. And I'm Salafi inwardly, or am I Salafi just outwardly? If you've been Salafi, following Salafi pubs for 2 years, 3 years, and you have no attachment to the Quran, you don't understand the Arabic language, you can't pick up this book You can't pick up the Quran and you don't understand what's being said in the Quran. Can you truly admit that you're following the methodology of the Salaf the Salih? If you've been Salafi, following Salafi pubs for 2 years, 3 years, if you 10 years, 20 years, and you don't understand this book, you're not Salafi. You're not Salafi inwardly. You haven't adopted the methodology of the Salaf inwardly. Maybe outwardly you have the dress. Maybe outwardly you look like you know. But then inwardly, then you have to look at yourself and be honest with yourself. If you've been following Abu Khadija, Anwar Wright, and their crew, Hassan Somali and their crew, and you've been now Salafi for 10 years, 15 years, following them, and you haven't had any of these things with you, and all you are familiarized with is names of personalities real well, who's Salafi real well, who's not Salafi real well, all the beef, all the qala waqila, all the kitab bain al-nas and kitab bain tulab wa all the fitna and fighting between the student as is all you know, you not Salafi. You can't really say you Salafi. You can't say you Salafi, man. If you say you Salafi, حقيقا يعني لماذا تعرف هذا الكتاب؟ هذا سلفية. هنا شوف سلفية في الكتاب والسنة. القرآن this is Quran. This is the book of Allah. This is Salafiyah. If you can't understand this, if this is something you don't know, then are we really truly Salafi? And I'll end with that because I don't want to get too harsh with people. Because some of us, when I mention some of these things, it's like ripping the carpet from underneath their feet. Many of the people who follow Salafi pubs, they're not ready for real assessments. You know, they're not ready to get rid of in their heart from these personalities because they tying their beliefs with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to these personalities. Then there's no difference between what you're doing and what the Nasara is doing. They have wasata, akhul kubur, as-sufiyun. They have wasata, bainahu wa baina Allah wasata. You have no difference between them. Maybe you're not bowing down to Abu Khadija. But if he say something haram, say something about somebody unlawfully, make a ruling on somebody unlawfully, and you take that ruling and you say that Muslim who was Salafi, Alam, Mutamakkin, you say, oh, who a Mubtadi, and you say that, then that's a form of ibadah because you following Abu Khadija and the halal and the haram, whatever he's mixing up, whatever is haram he's making halal, whatever halal he's making haram, and you following that, that's ibadah. That's ibadah. That's ibadah. If you making the blood of the Muslim lawful by slandering him every day on Facebook, every day on social media, slandering a person, he's not Salafi, he's not an alim, he's not a sheikh, he's like this, he's like that, and you follow them and it's sinning, and it's backbiting, and it's sinning, and striking at people's honor, and you following him that, and you find it to be lawful, then that's your worship of these peoples. Then you know different from those peoples who make wasata bain Allah, have mediators between Allah. You connecting these people to your ibadah, and you cannot leave from them. Why? Because you think that leaving from them, you have no connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're connecting yourself to falsehood then. You're not connecting yourself to Allah's religion. You're not connecting yourself to al-kitab. As-salafiyya, hiya as-salafiyya. هذا الكتاب هو السلفية. كلام صحيح. السلفية هذا الكتاب هو سلفية. Whoever wants to hear it the proper way. This book right here, this is Salafiyah. You see this Quran right here? This is Salafiyah. This right here, this is Salafiyah right here. You can't understand this book? You can't understand this book? You can't read this book? You cannot pronounce the words and know the vocab in this book? Then there's something wrong. I doubt you're a Salafiyah because you've been Salafi 10 years now, 15 years, and you guys don't understand Quran, can't pick up no books in Arabic, understand the religion of Islam, can't understand the Quran. At least know enough Arabic to understand the book of Allah. And if you're not trying to do that, and you haven't been establishing that, or that's something that you don't put in your everyday habits, man, I doubt you're Salafi. Like I said, Salafi pubs, a lot of the followers, cults behavior. No different from the Nasara. The Nasara fi Amreeki fi Garb, they have no attachment to Kitab al-Qudus. They don't even know the Bible, what original language is in. They don't even know it. Only 2 or 3 priests know it. Some 2 or 3 religious scholars who study in college, they know this. Only a few handfuls of their followers know it. And then even the ones who know it, they can't even agree on certain things.
Subscribe to our YouTube page, people. Subscribe